this is where warm-ups come in. Nobody does any activity without being centered. You know, and to get back to it, you know, an important thing is ritual. Warming up the same time every day, practicing the same time every day. Now, why do people do that? Now, let's look at the human condition.
Muscle memory?
Excuse me?
Muscle memory?
Well, it has to do with muscle memory, but there's something even deeper. Because why do we go to church every Sunday? Well, it's a ritual, isn't it? Like, I mean, I'm Catholic. I mean, why do you have the ritual of the Mass? Why do you have, you know, incense? Why do you have communion? Why are things ritualized in that way? Because ritual focuses your concentration so that you can be with the Creator, with this, you know, not whatever religion it is. Notice that there's always a ritual involved. So, for example, what makes you think music is any different? A warm-up becomes a ritual. Like, let's look at the great baseball players. You know how guys, like, they undo their gloves, and they spit on their hand, like Big Papi, you know, and they do this, and they get in, and then they go, you know, and they do the same thing every time. Because what it does is it focuses and it centers them. You know? Because the amazing thing you'll find is, if you're centered, you don't have, I mean, of course you have to practice, but you'll play twice as good without doing anything. You know? I mean, people always ask me, it's one of my favorite things, is how can I get better without practicing? Or, I already practice, but I don't feel like I'm getting any better. Possibly, it's because you're not focused. And the thing, and I'll go off course for a second here. The thing that happens here, what affects music is your frame of mind. How you're feeling. How you're feeling, and the thing is, if you're feeling sad and you can get that out in your playing, or if you're feeling happy and you can get that out in your playing, that's great. But a lot of people are cluttered. What we're talking about here. They're thinking about, you know, they're overdrawn at the bank, they had a fight with their boyfriend or their girlfriend, or their mom and their dad, or their sister, they had a flat tire on the way, whatever it was. They're thinking of something else other than music. So what happens is, in order to play, you have to be able to focus. And focus means going from many thoughts to one thought. Like when you're playing that solo, when you're playing that tune, you're better off, in my opinion, if you can focus your mind to that topic, that thing. That's what John Coltrane did so well. You know, that's the lesson of Love Supreme. That's the lesson. And the thing is, Love Supreme is easy because it's only one chord, but when you get into tunes that are just like ripping chords, like Moment's Notice, Giant Steps, etc., then it really is a heavy, you know, moment where you realize you have to be able to focus. The deal with that is, you got to get into a flow. And once again, and this is where people talk about non-judgmental awareness. You know, for example, if you're playing a tune and you're sitting there, instead of thinking, focusing on the harmony, focusing on the sound, focusing on what the other musicians are playing, you're thinking like, I wonder if people think I suck. Maybe I do suck. You know, I suck. You know, I can't play. I don't even know why I'm here. I'm making a fool out of myself. Now, what kind of a solo are you going to be able to play if that's what you're thinking? You know? Yeah, it's not necessary. So, the thing is, you've got to be in a flow. And, I mean, my favorite athlete of all time is Michael Jordan. And, you know, in the moment when there was 3 seconds left and they were down by 1 point, and there was 1 billion people on the planet whose heart rate was up, they're freaking out, everyone's nervous, and there was one human being on the planet who was relaxing and easing down. And his heart rate was going down, his respiration was going down. And he wanted the ball, he knew when he got it, he was going to put it up, and he knew when he put it up, it was going to go in. And everyone else did too. But he made his own reality because he was able, you know, how many times did he sit there in his, you know, in his backyard when he was a kid, throwing that ball up, working on that, you know? And Tiger Woods, same thing, you know? It's that ability to relax and be in a flow. Now, the real interesting part about it is when you're in a flow and you're focused, you can start expressing feeling in your music. Because I don't care how good y'all play. If you're playing a bunch of notes and there's no feeling and no message and no deeper transcendental level, then it's only going to take you so far. Because the great people in this music, you know, and John Coltrane is my hero, he was able to touch that source of feeling and expression. And great musicians make you cry, they make you laugh, they make you happy, they make you sad. And so it's not just about picking up your horn and being sad, it's about being in that flow. And finally, the ultimate thing is you can find yourself. You're able to sound like you. You know, the highest compliment, people come up to me and they say, wow, I was driving, it was 1 a.m. and like after 5 seconds, I knew it was you. And I was listening to the whole tune and they said, and he goes, I know that's Conrad, I know that's Conrad. And when the announcer came on, I said, that was Conrad. And he said, you know, and when people tell me that, I take that as a high compliment. You know, in other words, being able to imitate is great, but to be able to find yourself in the music, you know, is important. And for me, it all comes from this aspect of breathing, you know, and working on control, working on center. And you may think it's so simplistic that you're way beyond it. But if you are, and you're like, you know, ripping synthetic scales, and you're ripping all your pentatonic scales, and your diminished scales, and really heavy, complex tunes, go back and look at the simple ritual of breathing and of focus and center. That's really where meaning in music comes from, in my mind. Okay? And I think it'll help you. It'll help everybody. Because if you have a solid foundation and a platform, then you can take all this other stuff. Because here's what I'm saying. If you don't have a good sound, if you don't have control of your ear, if you don't have control of your mind, what difference does it make if you have great technique? Or even a lot of ideas? You know? And that's why a lot of people who don't have the technique or the ideas, but have this together, have had very successful careers. And also, the difference is, with players, and I know you guys, we don't have to name any names, but you know, you get a CD and you hear it and you think, man, that's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then you listen to it 3 or 4 times, you say, well, you know, this is pretty good, but I'm getting a little tired of it. And after 10 times, you never want to listen to it again. You know? And there's other people's CDs that you get, and the first time you hear it, you think, wow, that's really great. And the second time you listen to it, you think, it's unbelievable. And the third time, you think, I can't live without this. And then the 500th time you listen to it, you say, you know what, there's subtleties that I never even knew were here. And that's Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Sonny Rollins, Tony Short, Herwig. Their music stands the test over and over and over again. You never get tired of it. You know, you take it to a desert island, and if you had to listen to it for the rest of your life, you'd be happy. You know? And so that's what we're talking about here. It's a deeper level. Okay? So, you know, on a purely physical level, for trombone, I do a lot of exercises and different warm-ups and stuff. But what I would say is trying to develop a 5-minute routine that gets you centered every day. Because a lot of us, it takes an hour to warm up. You know, it takes a half hour to warm up. As you progress more and more, what you find is you have a lot of classes, you have the things that take you away, like for me, travel. Sometimes I'm traveling 8-10 hours a day, and I show up, I don't have an hour to warm up. I only have 5 minutes to get ready, do a sound check, and you got to hit. And you have to learn how to center and focus yourself. Okay? So, you know, it's good to have, for example, when you work, you can work on different things. I'll get my horn out for 1 second. And, you know, for example, on trombone, for the brass players here, there are ways that you can practice or things that you do to help focus your sound. And every individual instrument, you know, has its own routine. But, you know, if you've got a sound, then you can express mood. But like for me, for example, I left my mute somewhere right here. Sorry to lose it. Losing music. What I do when I start my day is, see, on a trombone, the analogy would be like here's the car, here's the engine, and here's the gas tank. We talked about the gas tank. So something I'll do, for example, as a warm-up on trombone to get ready, is I'll do it. I'll just go down the scale. Because if you listen on a trombone, the pitch, like everything happens on the mouthpiece and the horn just gives it life. So once again, that's a great exercise to work on. But the thing for me also is just trying to work on, like, how does a trombone sound? You know, you guys have an estimation. I mean, one thing, for example, if you're playing a ballad, you're trying to have like a tender thing. I used to work, when I was a kid, I would practice in my mom's closet because it was really dead. You know, the sound, I could really hear the sound. And I would work on getting sort of an airy kind of sound, which you get this kind of sound. So if I'm playing a ballad,